New video shows a major strike near Freedom Square in Ukraine's second largest city of Kharkiv. Here's the aftermath of that blast as Russia escalates their attacks. The country's now being accused of war crimes for targeting civilians as a massive military convoy heads towards the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv. This as the humanitarian crisis worsens. Border crossings are overwhelmed as hundreds of thousands flee the country. The Ukrainian military and militias made up of civilian soldiers have put up a tough resistance to Putin's forces. But now the Russians are bringing more force to the fight. Let's bring in senior investigative reporter Aaron Katersky in Lviv, Ukraine, along with ABC's Elizabeth Schulze in Washington for more on this. Aaron, the strategic focus so far has been on the capital of Kyiv, but Ukraine's second largest city of Kharkiv seems to be bearing the brunt of a lot of this attack so far. Why is that?
Yeah, it has over the last couple of days, and you wonder if it's something of a dry run for the Russian troops before they take the capital. Kharkiv is to the east. It's the second largest city, and it would help Russia carve off a swath of the eastern part of Ukraine, but also could prevent the Ukrainian military from falling back to protect the capital, which President Zelenskyy said today is now the priority, to protect the capital. It's still believed that the Russians want to take Kyiv, decapitate the government, and get rid of Zelenskyy and install their own kind of regime. And there's a real fear that the tactics we've seen in Kharkiv are signaling more Russian aggression. There was a shelling on a residential area, the Ukrainians said, in which the Russians were accused of using cluster munitions in order to maximize civilian casualties. And then today, just a couple of hours after the curfew ended with civilians out, there was that big blast at a government administration building, and a number of civilians, the Ukrainians said, were killed. Hundreds have already been killed or wounded in this fighting. And the fear is that if the Russians turn to the use of more heavy artillery and less discriminate targeting, that civilians could be even more at risk.
And Elizabeth, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelenskyy is challenging European leaders to prove they are with Ukraine. Given so much has already been done, what kind of proof is he looking for at this point?
Well, simply put, Diane, President Zelenskyy is requesting that Ukraine become a member of the EU. He's asking for this to happen on an expedited basis. And Zelenskyy made an incredibly emotional appeal to EU lawmakers, saying that they are fighting for democracy, they are fighting for their lives and for the right to be equal. So really asking EU members to admit Ukraine as part of their membership. This is usually a process that takes a long time. The president of the European Council said that it's something that's under consideration. It would require approval by all of the members of the EU, and certainly it's something that they at least welcomed, at least in a standing ovation of President Zelenskyy today in that address.
And Aaron, the mayor of Mariupol in southeastern Ukraine says that Russian forces have surrounded the city and are seeking to storm it from all directions. Do you think the city can withstand something like that?
Probably not, given the superiority by sea of the Russians, but also then they can bring forces in from Crimea, try to retake a land bridge. That seems to have been a strategic goal of the Russian invasion, along with establishing a water connection. But it then would give the Russians another path to Kyiv should they choose to take it. So there may not be an imminent take of the capital, but the U.S. and its allies seem to believe that that's what's coming, and could be coming from multiple directions, some kind of a devastating attack on Ukraine that would crush the Ukrainians. But I'll tell you, Diane, the spirit of Ukrainian citizens has not been affected. In addition to those making the Molotov cocktails and picking up weapons to join, I met a number of volunteers today here in Lviv who were stitching together camouflage nets out of donated clothing. And I met one woman who said, look, she doesn't know how to use a gun. This was her way of contributing to the front. These nets, dozens of them the military wants, are being made rapidly, shipped out to the front lines so that the Ukrainian troops can conceal their artillery pieces or whatever else. And it's that kind of contribution that people here are willing and really ready to make.
So, Elizabeth, this morning, EU delegates to the United Nations walked out of a speech by Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov at a conference on disarmament. They were trying to show their support for Ukraine, and Lavrov says Ukraine is planning to acquire nuclear weapons. So how is the Biden administration responding to all of this?
Well, Diane, the irony of Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov speaking today at a conference on disarmament, certainly not lost on the lawmakers there. And the White House has said that those claims from Russia that Ukraine is trying to obtain a nuclear weapon are just false. Part of this pretext that Russia has been launching to justify this invasion, continually calling out Russia for these fake claims about Ukraine and its intentions. And certainly the White House has said that it stands by Ukraine on this. We know that the diplomatic efforts are stalled. Sergei Lavrov had at one point been scheduled to speak with Secretary of State Antony Blinken. That was called off, as it's been made very clear. And as U.S. officials are now telling us now, the plan is to move forward with what will be a costly invasion here, Diane.
And Aaron, a senior administration official tells ABC News that they've learned that Russia is still planning a devastating attack, saying that they will, quote, crush Ukraine. So we've always known that there's a lot more firepower behind what Russia currently has in terms of troops and artillery in the country. So what can you tell us?
Well, we've seen it, right, in this convoy that stretches over 40 miles. Not concentrated, all of it. Some of it's spaced out, but tanks, troops, artillery pieces are all heading in. The Russian Ministry of Defense also posted some rather ominous video. It claimed showed special forces getting ready to enter the country. The Ukrainians are claiming that they've brought Chechen fighters in here to try and specifically target President Zelenskyy. The Ukrainians said they were able to foil at least one plot on the president, and they've got a beeline on another Chechen unit. There's all sorts of information and misinformation, but everyone does seem to believe that Kyiv is the priority for the Russians, and that President Putin intends to get rid of Zelenskyy and install his own government here. And that's why Zelenskyy is saying the protection of the capital, the defense of the capital right now is priority one. There's military assistance that's coming from the United States and some European countries. We're wondering how it's going to get here, probably through Western Ukraine, but there's no certainty. We know the Russians are on the lookout for big convoys.
All right, Aaron Katersky, Elizabeth Schelsey, thank you both. Aaron, stay safe.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.